What about our first interaction was just before your graduation?
Oh God, please enlighten me because that was part of my blackout period. So please tell me and the listeners about this.
That was you and Sarah at your mom's apartment, like 2 months after me and your mom started dating. It got bad. It was to the point where uh, we were all sitting around and you and Sarah had the Volterra wine going.
Hey guys, welcome to Coffee and Crystals, where we explore yoga, self-development, and entrepreneurship. I'm your hostess, Katie Chronister, and this isn't just a podcast. This is a space for growth. I believe yoga is more than a physical practice. It's a way of life. Yoga teaches us discipline, balance, and the power of staying present. With over 500 hours of yoga teacher training, I'm going to guide you through a deeper wisdom of yoga. And as a serial entrepreneur, I believe that business should be built with intention. On this show, we're going to explore the principles of yoga and how they can help you navigate your entire journey, creating businesses that feel as aligned as your yoga practice. As a writer, a motivator, and a yoga teacher, I created Coffee and Crystals to share my stories and build momentum for my upcoming book. My stories are about transformation and how yoga and mindfulness have shaped my path both personally and professionally. I'm here to help you step into your highest potential through storytelling and self-reflection. I also believe in the power of community, and on this show, you're going to meet a group that is collaborative, intentional, they move with integrity, and we're all working towards a life rooted in mindfulness. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, your favorite crystal, and let's dig into today's episode.
So welcome back. What a week. Last time I talked to you guys, I was telling you about my sober curious journey, and we are celebrating 17 days without any substance into my body. Well, of course, caffeine. I am really into iced coffee. It is summertime and it is boiling hot in LA. I have to have my AC running, both fans, but we're loving this. No more June gloom over here in West Hollywood. So jumping into the recap of the week, the emotions were strong in the neighborhood on Saturday. I was supposed to teach a yoga class in a house down in like the Westwood area, but due to local protests that actually were happening, because the world really thought that LA was just out there protesting everywhere, and that was just not the case until Saturday. Saturday, the No Kings protests went on around the world, and the one that was happening in West Hollywood literally ran down Santa Monica Boulevard where I live. So I'm dog sitting. I'm sure he'll pop into this video at any moment. I'm dog sitting for my friend Rod and Patrick's dog that I love, London. London also appeared on the beginner's flow that I uploaded on the YouTube channel. So if you are interested in trying yoga for the first time, check that video out. It's 20 minutes. It's easy. It's raw. It's new as far as me behind the camera talking and trying to teach yoga and also direct the audio and the flow. So not the best production as far as all that stuff, but I'm excited to start teaching again and offering it on the YouTube channel. But anyway, London's here, and I was walking London through the neighborhood and saw all the signs going through, and I was like, oh, the protest is happening. And then I realized that I was basically blocked in that day. It was on Saturday the 14th, and there was nowhere that I could go, so I figured that I would walk through the neighborhood and just check it out. And honestly, I had no idea how emotional it was going to be. Reading people's signs, hearing people's stories, it really was a peaceful protest. It was emotional, that energy. I could feel it up and down my spine. Honestly, even just talking about it, I got goosebumps. So I realized I was literally walking through history. And there was a meme that I had seen that I really resonated with. You know, all our lives, we recited for liberty and for all. Like, that was what we did every day with our hand over our heart, saying that the Pledge of Allegiance in school. And I definitely try not to talk too much about politics on this show because I know that both Republicans and Democrats listen, but I'd really like to say that I am happily in the middle. I am really valuing perspectives on the show, so I like both Republican voices and liberal voices on my show to urge you to do the same. But I understand that one side of the coin wants illegal immigrants that are doing things of harm out of here. But unfortunately, what's happening in LA and what is happening in our community is that just doesn't seem to be the case. You know, one of my favorite bodegas in West Hollywood, you know, there is a gentleman that makes my salad and my sandwiches basically once or twice a week, and he has expressed concerns to me, and not because of him and him being illegal, but just other family members of him. And that is really who it's affecting. And hearing these local stories has really opened my eyes of why people are marching and why people are protesting. But enough about that. This is a special episode of my Father's Day series dropping on Coffee and Crystals, talking all things daddy issues, fatherhood, and really introducing to you guys the men who have stood up for me in my life and that I am proud to introduce to you on the podcast, and then later this year introduce in my first published book. So today we're going to meet Matt McDaniel. Matt has been my dad officially for, I don't know if I actually asked to be reminded of how many years they've been married, but they've been together for 20 years, my mom and Matt. And he came into our lives at a time where I was mid-20s, definitely fresh out of Florida State, still in Florida State, party. So he has seen all versions of Katie, and it was cool to see his perspective as far as his first memories of me and really just get to know him a little bit more. Obviously that inspired conversations for off camera, and coming into the summer solstice week, I thought it was also so full circle. Episodes drop on Tuesday on the podcast, so this is actually going to be airing, and I'm filming the Tuesday after Father's Day, but he gets the show that introduces the first day of summer, the summer solstice, which is International Yoga Day, which is literally my favorite day of the year, and I thought it was really full circle that he landed on the show this week. Again, I decided to do this sort of last minute. I had a dream. I think I mentioned that a couple episodes ago. I had a dream after reading this book that I was reading, just that made me feel really sad about the not having a dad growing up. And then I realized, no, wait, I have so many dads and so many good humans that are uplifting in my life and tell my story with me. And that's what inspired this show. So then, you know, I did my recordings, and everything is self-edited and self-produced and self-directed and self-everything on the podcast, which, by the way, we'll stop right here. A free way to support the podcast is to make sure that you are following the show. If you're watching on YouTube, please click subscribe on the YouTube channel. It would really mean a lot. And then comment. Comments really help this get pushed into other people's feeds. It helps the show grow, which will ultimately help me and my show grow. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, same thing. Engage in the polls that I do. Share on social media. Share the show with someone that you think could benefit from. But circling back, I thought it was pretty full circle that we talked about how, you know, 2017, I was married on the summer solstice. And Matt, as a gift to me and help, because of course, very Katie of me, I was not only the bride, I was also the wedding planner and the coordinator, and I pretty much planned that wedding by myself with the help of my friends and family, of course. And Matt created, it was a boho theme wedding. I love this wedding. I'll make sure I drop a picture of this in the overlay so you guys can see. Matt made us a teepee to get married under, and also he, on the top of the teepee, he created these horns from something that he had killed, and it was so amazing. And yeah, that was in 2017, so it's anniversarying of this week. So not only is the summer solstice one of my favorite days of the year. He created a really strong, beautiful altar for me and my ex-husband, and I will forever be grateful for that. So it's almost like Matt and I share a spiritual moment under the summer solstice as well. So I thought I'd dig into a little bit more about the summer solstice. If you're like, what, huh, what is that? It's your yoga lesson of the day. The spiritual significance of the summer solstice is very energetic. We are in the yang season of the year. Very hot, very full of joy, ego. This is a time where we can really be enlightened. This is a time where we really celebrate the fertility of Earth. This is a time of spiritual radiance. So I wanted to educate you guys in case you want to get into the energy of the summer solstice coming off of the full summer moon or strawberry moon. Many believe that this solstice time opens a cosmic portal, and that is a time between physical and spiritual wounds. And this can help with powerful manifestation. It can help with energy clearing. And it also is a time where you can really have deep healing and initiate rites into your life. And what I mean by that is just marching into the purpose of what is you. And this is a strong masculine energy of the universe that you can tap into. The sun enters Cancer, and your hostess, Katie Cronister, is a Cancer sign, so probably more reason. Like I tell my friends as a joke, I created Hot Girl Summer. Like I am a July girl, Cancer energy, and the solstice marks the sun's increase, or when the sun goes into Cancer. And Cancer is a water sign that is ruled by the moon, so emotional, but also very high energy. The Cancer sign emphasizes home, family, which again, this all came to me, and like it all makes cosmic sense to have my family members and people close to me on the show this season. But it kind of happened organically, but nothing is organic, right? So it's the energy of intuition and emotional safety. This is the time where the sun is balanced, and this outward energy is also a Cancer's inward pull. So what I mean by that is it's definitely a time where you have to make sure that you are in tune with just like the energy of the day. With longer days, that's a longer time to get burned out. So you have to make sure you're doing your self-care. You are staying hydrated, as we say on the show. But seriously, at this time of the year, it is hot. And you can probably maybe even notice that in your circle if people are acting hot. That is no coincidence. It is hot season. So this is also a great time with this yang energy to begin new projects, move forward with all those seeds that you planted at the beginning of the year. We are coming into half of the year, so it is go time. It's also time to be authentic and to be fully seen and fully witnessed. I really resonate with that because, you know, Christmas in July is not only my birthday, but it is significantly marks half of the year. So it's your time to be like, okay, what have we completed and what do we still have to do to end this year strong? Yin begins to return in this energy. So again, it's the yin and the yang. It's a balance, y'all. So just because we're high yang energy, we have to make sure that we're trickling in back that yin energy. And even though we're coming into the longest day of the year, that means the days will start to shorten. So living in harmony with this shift is going to be ideal. It's the fire element, which like I said, can create a lot of ego. So make sure that you are creating rituals around your heart, leading with your heart, not your head. Ego gets a bad rap. We need ego, right? Like I need ego to sit up here and have the confidence to be speaking my wisdom and my passion and my heart to you guys. But don't let ego rule. Next thing you know, you'll be shutting out family members. You'll be shutting out friends. You know, your ego needs to be checked, and you can do that by stepping into the heart. So that yoga sequence that I posted does have camel pose in it, which is a really great heart opening exercise. Eat cooling, hydrating foods. like watermelon, cucumber, mint, beans. Spend time and cultivate joy and connection. Joy and connection is also a big emotion of the summertime. You know, longer summer nights means sitting around the fire with the people that you love and have good conversations. So I wanted to add in some journal prompts. You know, it is that yang energy. So even if you're not a writer like me, yours truly, your host, it is definitely a time to get out that ego, get out that fire on the paper. It can help you plan your day, even if it's just a really well thought out to-do list. But it's also just a time to sit into these fiery emotions and learn from them. So some of my favorite journal prompts for the summer solstice are, what is illuminated for me right now? Think about that. What in your life is actually really bright, and how can you tune into that positive, bright light? Ignore the negative. That is low frequency. Nobody should live there long. Notice them, notice what's coming up, but let's shine bright towards that bright summer solstice light. What can I let shine more boldly? Is there something that you're ignoring? What are you really good at? What in you shines so bright that you need to tap more into? And what emotional truths am I ready to honor? I am doing that for you every week on the show. I am honoring the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I am turning it into positive here on my show and soon on my future book, Katie Chronicles. And yeah, create I was like, I guess I just really want to say father. Some more earth-based practices is working in your garden. Matt talks about that on the episode today. Create a flower mandala. I just got fresh roses that you can see right here from the local farmers market this weekend. And when they start to die a little bit, I'm gonna create them around my altar for my yoga practice, because I will be doing 108 sun salutations on Friday to honor in the summer solstice. I'm gonna get up early that day. If anybody wants to join in, tune in on social media. Maybe I'll even put something on YouTube. Who knows? No promises, but I will be practicing, and I would love you guys to join me into that practice. Sit into the garden, dance, sing in the sun, walk in the moonlight. It's all about heart healing, okay? So I welcome you into my heart on the show, but connect with loved ones this season. You never know when it might be your last conversation, and not to be morbid, guys, but it's just the truth. We are all headed towards Shavasana, corpse pose, and it's just important to focus on the good and focus on the people in your life and shed more love into the light and into others' lives. And listen to your inner joy. Follow that joy. Don't let your ego get the best of you. Step into the positive light that the summer solstice give us. All right, guys. Well, without further ado, I'll introduce you to my dad, Matt McDaniel.
All right, well, look at the shirt I wore for you. Daddy's little meatball. I always like to see what the fit is that my guests show up in. I wore this also to honor my pretend dad, Mark, because he got me this shirt.
I got my Snap-on shirt on.
What is that? What's Snap-on?
Tools. Dads know about tools. And
Yeah.
this is one of my Snap-on shirts. And anybody that knows about Snap-on, it's higher priced than most college educations.
Snap on, snap off.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you would impress Lincoln when he hears that.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to him, he's showing me the tools, and I'm like, why is an 11-year-old banter going over my head?
Snap-on tools are very high-end and very, they're warranted for life, most of them. So if you have the money to purchase them, they're worth the money. I have some. I don't have a college education worth of them. There's people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on toolboxes and tools, but that's what they do for a living. So I don't do that for a living.
Well, there you go. Snap on. If you're listening, feel free to sponsor Coffee and Crystals with Katie.
There you go.
So what's your coffee mug that you brought? What's your favorite coffee mug right now?
Well, you're going to be surprised.
It looks very marbly.
It's a
like
marbling. It's a camouflage with a deer head and antlers.
Well, this is the mug I picked for you today. It's a little Christmassy, but it also reminded me of the antlers you made for me for my wedding. the
Yeah.
wedding. If you guys are new to the show, I am no longer married, but it was still a beautiful wedding. And Matt made me antlers for my little boho teepee. He made me the teepee too.
There you
Fabulous. Where is the teepee, by the way?
I didn't make the antlers. Those were antlers that I hunted.
But you did something to them.
Right, right. The teepee is in the top of the garage. I think
Get that
so.
back one day when I get a house, if I even get a house.
I think I'll have to I'll have to pull them down and make sure because I had infestation of carpenter bees, which are the really big bumblebees,
Okay.
and they may have chewed into them. So
Interesting. I'll have to look up that spirit animal and see what that sounds telling.
yeah, it's a big bumblebee, and I'm sure you've seen them. They're just great big fuzzy bumblebees, but they are actually carpenter bees, and they love to burrow in wood. So,
Very interesting. Well, welcome to Coffee and Crystals. I'm glad to have you. This month we are having guests who are filling the void of I say it as a joke. I know it can be triggering to people out there. I'm going to have a chapter in my book called Daddy Issues. But Daddy Issues is actually going to be the chapter that I introduced my friend Mark that gave me this shirt. So it is a joke. What I have explained to the other guests I've casted for this month of honoring the father figures and dads in my life is that I think one thing in my healing journey that I've learned is some people have a relationship with their dad, and that is beautiful. I am not taking that away. There was years of me having envy and jealousy and why not me before you came into my life and before other people came into my life. But what I've noticed is I actually think I have the one up because I don't get to just have one father figure. I get to have many father figures and mentors that have really brought a lot of joy and love and wisdom into my life. So I am excited for my guest to meet you. Matt is my mother's husband. How long have you guys been together now?
almost 20 years.
Wow. Wow.
It's Miss Katie, who is the host, was 20 years old, I believe.
Hot mess express over there in that age group. I also thought that this episode is going to help me write my introduction chapter. So I wanted to let you know kind of where I was thinking about it. On Tuesday, not only is it the Tuesday before Father's Day, it will be my great grandmother's 103rd birthday. She is in heaven, but she would be 103. And one of my favorite first memories of you is the grounding and the loving stillness that you brought to a trip where Julie and my mom and I met in Florida to visit Granny. And it was an emotional time. And I think it was such an emotional time that I was also burying. What's that word? Burying. There we go. Burying some of my feelings that I have now kind of reflected on. But I just remember waking up the next morning and getting a great breakfast made by you with your maple syrup. And just thinking now, and even in yoga school, that's one of my favorite things is just a good, healthy, grounding, nourishing breakfast with good people and good conversation. So an official thank you for being there because that is actually the last time that the three of us had a moment with Granny. So a little tribute to her as well this week.
Yeah, I got to meet her, and it was good.
How was that? Well, here we go. Here's another story I've never. What was that conversation like?
It wasn't, because she was bedridden at the time when I got to meet her, and she was more about your mom and talking with your mom, and I just kind of hid out in the background a little bit. And she asked your mom some questions about me.
She did?
Yeah, because we hadn't been together very long at that point.
She asked if you were a jerk.
She asked if I was a jerk. That was one of the. I didn't quite remember that, but your mom.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Because
there was a long line of jerks.
Yeah.
And we brought her key lime pie.
Yeah. So, and was a huge fan of key lime pie. So we took her.
She was.
Key lime pie.
See, another nugget. I got to write a chapter about key lime pie.
But yeah, it was a good visit. It was kind of awkward for me because it was new. I think we had been together for what, 8 months when we made that trip down there.
We got together in May. It was Christmas. It
Yeah.
You guys been together a year.
Yeah, maybe a year. Yeah, so it was a little awkward for me, but
Perfect entrance into the family. Welcome to the Chronister.
all right. So it was just after we were just over a year, because our first Christmas was at Sarah's, and then the second Christmas was down in Florida. So
Was I at that Christmas with Sarah?
no, that was one that you were not there.
Yeah, so that was our first Christmas together then.
Yes.
Perfect. So that is, see, I love it because I actually think that, so that's where I was thinking that our introduction chapter was going to be, and I'm going to stick with it. My intuition was right. I think that that will go really nicely.
So what about our first interaction was just before your graduation?
God, please enlighten me because that was part of my blackout period. So please tell me and the listeners about this.
That was you and Sarah at your mom's apartment, like 2 months after me and your mom started dating.
Okay, and that wasn't the weirdest moment that you had?
It got bad. It was to the point where we were all sitting around and you and Sarah had the Volterra wine going.
Deadly.
Yeah, it got rough, with, you're not our dad. And, my mom's better, will take, pick us over you. And it got to the point. So your mom had a small TV and you guys were on the couch. I was sitting on the floor, and I actually stretched out and faked sleeping just so you guys would
leave you alone.
Leave.
Daddy issues. If that doesn't scream that I had some major daddy issues that I had to work through, I don't know what does. Okay.
Right. So it's, that was one of my biggest, that was my first time meeting you and Sarah. So for me,
looks like we nailed it.
It's been a roller coaster ever since. But yeah, there's some ups and downs, but trying not to overstep boundaries is my biggest thing. Because I like to refer to myself as an import, also the four of you as an import. So I was imported into your family, you were imported into my family. So trying not to overstep bounds and make sure that everybody just understood that, I was there for your mom. And by being there for your mom meant I was there for you guys too.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that my sisters and I love about you, and Sarah and Julie are constantly saying it, which I've never shared with you. So here we go. Just how much of a protector you are for our mother, and how much 20 years ago, now I know the number, that you came into not just our lives, but Matt, thank you so much for what you do for my mom. Because even when we don't agree with you sticking up with her sometimes, she deserves that protector and she deserves that man sticking up for her. So we love you. So thank you. Let's switch gears and kind of put me back into a little bit of a better light. Can you share with my listeners maybe one of your earliest favorite memories with me?
One of my favorites was a family gathering at the Kellys. There was you and Sarah and your mom and the whole Kelly family, and our favorite Nan was there.
Classic. Love that lady.
I remember some corn silks coming into play.
Okay, this is good.
And that's, if you want to elaborate any further, you are more than welcome to. But that was one of the most hilarious, fun times that I've had.
No, I guess so you're not going to actually happened in Pennsylvania where it actually went down?
This happened at Katie Kelly's house on the lake.
In my little brain, I thought this happened at Andy's house one summer.
You may have done it more than once.
Okay,
but the one that I was there was Bob was still around. Bob was there. Your grandma was there. And we were all getting ready to go for a boat ride on the pontoon. And your grandmother came out in her appropriate one-piece bathing suit.
Questioning the fact if that was really appropriate, but go ahead.
Well, there was parts that was not appropriate.
And wearing something inappropriate.
So then Miss Katie comes out of the house and she's got corn silks tucked into the side of her bikini. It was her imitation of grandma.
Good old chronisters winning you back.
Yeah.
Good times. Yes, I got to get to Michigan this summer somehow, some way. So another little commercial break. If anybody wants to sponsor my trip to see my dad and my mom in Michigan, just Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, checks. Cash is king. Go ahead and send that right over. Tell me about your dad.
Well, this is part that I wish we could have discussed prior. So my dad left when I was 8 years old, and I didn't see him again until I was 28. So my father figures in my life were my best friend's older brother and his dad. My best friend, we met in second grade, and he lived 4 houses down from my house. And yeah, so I did everything with them. My best friend Kenny, who you met at our wedding, was my best man. His older brother Billy. So the family was a huge family. They had 8 kids, and they all ranged in, like, my best friend Ken is my age, and his oldest sister just turned 72. There was almost 23, 24 years in age difference between the oldest sister and the youngest child. But it was family gatherings every week, every weekend at their house, whether it be sitting around the front yard drinking beers. They were drinking beers. I was only, I was 7 years old, 6 years old.
Summertime in Michigan.
Summertime, pool. They always had a pool. So most of my time was spent down at his house. And his father was more of a influence on my life than my own father. I have a decent relationship with my father. We are not close at all. I see him usually once a year now, but yeah, growing up, he was not there. He is totally opposite of what I want to be.
Okay, so there's a lesson there.
Yeah. So being solid, being constant, being there when people, whether they need you or not, being there is one of the things that I try to live every day. I didn't get that as a kid. So I think that's why I went more with my best friend's father and his older brother. We did everything from hunting, fishing, riding dirt bikes.
Okay, so that's where you got a lot of that from.
Yeah.
What was his father's name?
Clarence.
Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence Wiedike, and his brother was Billy, and then my best friend's Ken.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I brought a crystal for you. So usually when people are in the studio, I find a time in the episode to pass a crystal. So I'm going to have to mail it to you. This is a carnelian. It kind of matches your vibe with the frame. Okay. It's like a root chakra color, like a colors of the earth. And I didn't know too much about the carnelian crystal, so I'll send you this little paper too. But this is a stabilizing stone, and I picked it for you out of my collection here to pass it to you for healing, for vitality, for motivation. This also helps stimulate creativity. It helps promote positive lifestyles and choices. So I know all this can sound really woo-woo, but what I've decided and learned in my crystal journey, that even if you don't believe it, right? Like sometimes my spirituality and my trust in God is just that, trust. So sometimes when you're leaning for something, if it's a cookie or something to soothe some feelings around a certain thing, then sometimes I grab a crystal off my mantle and put it in my pocket for the day. Or maybe you could put it on your desk, whatever really resonates with you. So that's coming your way, your carnelian crystal.
Thank you. Crystals, stuff like that, whether it be your favorite object or the crystals, it's a lot of people don't realize that manifesting things actually influence your life a lot. And whether you believe in crystals, specific items or objects, it's to each its own. And if you believe in that thing, it's something that your brain's going to manifest and your body's going to lean towards, and it helps people.
Very well said. So talk to me about what you do for work.
I'm a lifer in the tire industry, commercial tires, so semi trucks and heavy equipment.
Michigan, right there, people.
Well, it's a culture of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that nobody in their right mind picks a tire technician as a career that they want to follow, but I am now a compliance and training manager for 14 locations. But tire industry has not done me well, whether it be physically, my body is beat up, my legs don't work right, my hands don't work right, 30 years in the business, it's been a paycheck. It's one thing I can say. It's never been without a paycheck. Everybody needs tires. We all drive. Even when the economy is down, people still buy tires because they have to.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice. The industry it's a good industry, and there's some professionals that make really, really good money in it. But I started at the bottom as a tire technician and worked my way up to store manager, and then went into training and compliance for the whole company. So
It's amazing.
a long journey, long journey.
Yeah. What would you say as far as like this industry, when you say it's a difficult one and people don't choose it? Be a little bit more specific. Is it because a lot of injury happens? Is it a lot of not work-life balance?
It's hard work. It's very hard work. People are put in positions out of necessity, whether they need a job or had something happen where they got to have something constant. So they grasp at anything they can. And when you learn one thing most of your life, you really have nothing to fall back on other than what you learned. And I got into the tire industry out of necessity. I had 2 babies and I needed a full-time job. I was just out of high school, and I needed something more consistent. And at the time, I was working on a golf course.
Really? So I thought golf was like a new hobby for you. Like
Well,
new.
so you look at golf as working as a golf pro or something like that. No, I worked on the golf course. I mowed greens. I raked bunkers. I was the labor behind the golf course. So, had one baby already and a second on the way, and I needed a full-time, constant job. And the tire industry is always out there. And it's, like I said, it's not a career that anybody in their right mind picks as a choice for a career. And with learning it from, I was 20 years old, I learned every bit of the tire industry, whether it be from a hand cart tire all the way up to a 14-foot tall pine steel hull machine. I learned it all. And over the years, I think I've forgot about more than what people will learn about tires, because the safety aspect of it has changed so much over the years. The equipment has changed. So it is a lot safer for technicians to handle. And they'll never see some of the stuff that I dealt with as being younger. But we have to live by certain rules, certain safety guidelines, and knowing all those guidelines and safety procedures and stuff like that, they came to me and asked me if I would. I had been managing a store for about 6 years, and the store was doing good, and they came to me and asked me if I would like to be a training manager for the whole company. I him-hawed around about it for a bit because I knew it meant a lot of travel and away from home. And so I took my time deciding whether I should take it or not. And then they came to me and, they added to it. Not only would we want you to be a training manager, we'd like you to do some compliance and auditing. Essentially, all of our stores have to be audited 4 times a year. So they put that in with the position, and I ended up taking it, and I'm pretty much the guy they call when they need anything, whether it be a store manager or a training guy, or so I've been, in the last 2 years, I've been filling in at other stores, not actually being able to do my compliance job, because I'm running stores, because we've been shorthanded on managers. And so I'm the guy that they just, hey, can you cover this store, and can you cover that store, or can you rebuild this store? We had a little problem. So I'm the go-to when you need anything guy. around the tire industry.
Yeah, I think that that's a candle you hold in the family, that's something that we can all pick up the phone, and there's not too many things that I don't think you wouldn't be able to figure out for us if it was something that needs to be fixed or a weird scenario. One thing that I've learned in this chapter of really being conscious of my daddy issues is that the father figures in my life are very strong, masculine men that can do intricate things, work on machinery. And it's funny because when you think about the men that I've chosen in my life to date, have been the opposite. So that was kind of an aha moment for me, is to utilize these men that I look up to and that show up for me in my life. And how can I think if I grew up with these men and were, kind of around it more, it would have been, what people
Right.
do. They find men like their dads. But it was kind of like, it seems like common sense. I think you've given me tough love before, like stop dating people you have to fix, Katie, but we're all on our own journey, right? So I think when I actually heard you or, really listened to that advice and kind of had those aha moments, these men and these daddy figures in my life, they are absolute opposite of who I've been choosing. And I think that that's going to be really helpful for me in this next chapter as I'm seeking my person.
We all have our quirks, I always say I have I am the walking book of useless knowledge. I don't know a lot.
You know a lot.
No,
Podcast.
I don't know a lot about any one thing, but I know a little bit about everything. And finding somebody that is grounded already is what I would hope for you. Somebody that is secure. I'm the dad. I'm allowed to say no whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and I think that that's important. I've noticed that, and now that I'm more conscious of it, even in my girlfriend groups, like I had a conversation with, I won't say the person's name. I really was like, I understand where you're at because I've done it. I'm at the point where, when you start to almost be 40, you can be like, oh, you start to sound like an older person when I was your age. But when you can start to give advice because not because you're a know-it-all, because you've done these mistakes yourself. And I'm like, one day you're going to actually listen to what the people who care about you the most are saying. Live your life. Go ahead and date this person who's completely wrong for you. But one day you're going to realize that people that you spend your most time with and you call when you have an issue, you should actually care about their opinion.
And just like everybody, not everybody's opinions fit the perfect mold that you want. But like you said, as you get older, you have this ability to kind of judge the people that you want to be around and the people that don't drag you down, people that don't hold you back. You want people that are going to stand beside you, not make you walk behind them. So having that ability to see that in people helps people to grow. We all need help at times. There's days that I'm struggling, but if you have somebody that can be beside you, and you want them beside you, you don't want them behind you. You don't want them dragging you down like a boat anchor, right? If you walk like you're dragging a boat anchor, you're always going to drag a boat anchor. If you got somebody that always wants to lead you, you really don't have your own path. Yeah. So, you want somebody that's going to walk beside you, equal and grow and grow.
I was doing this, by the way. It means a clap. I was doing this with my last guest, and he thought I was saying, cut it off, cut it off. So I kind of threw him off, but this is a clap.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You want somebody that's equal, that doesn't hold you back, they'll help guide you through problems, but they're not trying to stay in front of you or drag behind you. So I have weird, analogies, but they come across. So
that's your yoga. A lot of yoga, when you're learning about the philosophy and the sutras, it's storytelling and it's using metaphor. So I think when I teach yoga, I really try to be a yoga teacher that I'm not using the metaphors that people have heard before, like a story like the boat anchor that seems very branded to Matt McDaniel. Where is McDaniel from, by the way? Where's your name from?
Well, it's Irish, and it originated as McDougal. And then when
That's the name of the dress I just wore at the wedding in Iowa, McDougal.
Yeah, it changed a couple times through the many, so I did some research on it at one point. It went from McDougal to McDowell. Then when coming over here, people had problems pronouncing it, so they went to McDaniel. And
Couldn't say McDougal. What is wrong with us?
yeah, when you have a heavy Irish accent, it
Yeah,
kind of,
or a lot of beer.
right, right. So yeah, I actually, because your cousin got married in an Irish theme. This is what spurred on the research into my background, because I needed to find my family crest and lineage, and as to what color. So kilts are worn by a specific color to your clan, and so I had to research that. Then when I
What
found
color
out
would you pick? What's our clan
it,
color?
it's not a pick, it's what's down, and it's a dark blue, and most of them are plaid, so it's a dark blue with like a dark green with gold highlights, so not very flashy. But when I tried to find one of those colors, I would have to order it direct out of Ireland, and I didn't have that kind of money to wear it one time at a wedding.
But now you
So
know.
yeah. So if I guess if ever I need one, I know where I got to get it. So
You kind of touched on this a little bit in an answer earlier, but how do you define success? I know it's something that I still am really working on myself, as I really struggle with imposter syndrome, especially in this new chapter where I don't have fancy director titles to hide behind. But I actually feel like my life, even though I'm still trying to, get sponsorships to get to Michigan for the summer, I actually feel like I'm headed in the right direction. More time for good conversations like this, more time for my workouts. So it's not all about work, 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 work for me. Not to say that that's bad too. There's eras where we're focused on work and we have to pivot. I think success for me lately has been more time to just breathe and, have space to expand and create and work on my book and meditate. I would love to hear kind of, with your wisdom.
my thoughts on success has nothing to do with money. Success to me is being able to do things comfortably without having to do second thoughts, whether it be take a ride up to the cabin or go out and hang out in my garden.
Amazing garden, by the way, guys. I'll have to
Doing
look guys on my social media, his garden from last year.
doing things that makes you happy for me is my guideline for success. And it's not always a career. Yes, we all have bills that we have to pay and stuff like that. And when your bills are paid and you're able to do things you enjoy without stressing over money issues, your it helps your mind not be so stressed out.
You had a survival mode.
Yeah, yeah. When you're crashing hard and you got bills, this bill's got to do and that bill's due, it's hard to get your mind into a place where you can just relax. So success for me is not overwhelming yourself with too much stress, and try and control it. Do things that make you happy, whether it costs money to do them or not. I think I spent $40 on a garden this year, and I will spend all summer, and it'll make me happy. Even if it's 10 minutes every night when I get home from work, I go out to the garden and find them little weeds that are popping up. You're out of here. Doing things that make you happy is what makes you successful. It's not always about the money. Having somebody that walks beside you equally makes you successful. There's a lot of things that go into it, but my biggest thing is being able to do things that make you happy and make people around you smile.
I love that. I resonate with that. I heard something, let's see if I can get this right. I think I heard success actually doesn't bring happiness, but a happy person has success.
It's a lot easier when you got that. There's days at work that I don't want to be there, but
That's human, right?
am I very successful? No, I don't have a big fat bank account.
But you have a big fat garden.
I have things that make me
That's
happy.
abundance to me.
I have things that make me happy. I have 6 daughters. I have a boat, and I have a truck that pulls that boat wherever we need to go. I do things that, I love to do with the kids when they come around. We don't always have the money to travel to see everybody, but when we get a chance to get people together, we try and make the best of it, have everybody have fun, whether it be in the boat or making pizzas in the backyard or doing breakfast, doing Dumbo pancakes for the grandkids. One grandkid does not like syrup. Frankie
Oh,
does
okay. Well,
like,
that makes sense. Little Frankie,
so,
I talked to her today.
but I'll tell you what she loves is cinnamon glaze over pancakes. So a
Yum.
little powdered sugar, a little water, a little cinnamon, mix it up, make it glaze to go over the pancakes. She loves it. So just being able to do things that make me happy, make my kids happy. That's what I feel makes me successful.
I love that. Well, just to kind of close out, is a spiritual podcast. I like talking about what that word means to others or purpose and really just yoga in general. So when you hear yoga, how do you resonate with that word or what do you think about?
So for me, yoga, is you see people doing all these, I'm going to say crazy poses,
They are crazy. They can look crazy.
but it's not just about the poses. So I do yoga in my own way. I do church in my own way. And it's whatever you can do to help clear your mind, to get your thoughts more in line with what you want to be. Doesn't always have to be weird poses. I go climb up in a tree 25 feet off the ground and sit for hours and do nothing.
That is yoga.
My church doesn't have man-made walls. I'll go walk in the woods or go sit in a tree stand somewhere or just go sit in the boat and just relax and clear my mind, clear different stresses. And for me, that's yoga. Being able to focus on clearing bad thoughts, absorbing good energies, stuff like that.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That is definitely a big reason I created Coffee and Crystals is I love the poses, but I also just love physical activity for my body. But yoga shouldn't be a workout, like you can't go to yoga and say you worked out. I mean, people do it all the time, but Pilates or kickboxing or something else, is a workout. My
Sure.
yoga is good conversations like this, understanding where the dukkha is a Sanskrit word that means suffering, understanding your suffering, having empathy for the suffering that's around you, and moving through it one step at a time and learning how to heal yourself. So ultimately we can kind of heal the world with yoga and love.
Sure.
Any last questions for me?
I made a whole list of things, and I think I'm gonna have to hold off on some of that until we can get together and have some
Get
good
that advertising money in, guys.
have some good meaningful conversations. Like I said, we've been so separated. You lived on the East Coast, you lived on the West Coast. We've really never had good, just down to earth conversations for any length of time. An hour here, an hour there, yeah. But to truly understand each other and know where we're coming from,
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's gonna take some time. I'm gonna kidnap you and we'll put you in the
Ready
boat
for it.
and we'll just go out and hang out in the boat and sit in the middle of the lake and do nothing and talk.
I love it. It sounds like yoga to me. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Happy early Father's Day. Thank you for joining me on this conversation today. Stay hydrated, everyone. Matthew McDaniel. That's a wrap.
Thanks.